Hello and welcome to today's review, which is for Sea Siege by Andre Norton. So Andre Norton is a well-known author. She was considered one of the dames of science fiction, American science fiction. Born in the 1912s, she was born as Alice Mary Norton, but she wrote predominantly as Andre Norton. It wasn't until I was an adult that I found out that Andre Norton was actually a woman. Doesn't come through particularly strongly. She also wrote as Andre North, and in addition to the fantasy and science fiction for which she's primarily known, she actually wrote in several other genres, including, I believe, some westerns, which is kind of relevant to this story, which is far from traditional science fiction as you know it, and not much like anything else science fiction-y by Andre Norton. So let's start with this gorgeous little edition that I have. Thank you, courtesy to Rob over at Alspace. He sent me this gorgeous little ace book, which was published in 1957. It's got that block printing colour to the edge, and it is, as far as I can tell, a first edition. A little bit toasty, but in pretty good condition before I read it. It's in less good condition now, but we can flatten it again. So, Sea Siege. Oh no, let's talk about the cover. I was unable to figure out who may have done this cover. It's a great adventure fiction type cover. It's hard to see in this light, but the blue and green tones of it are excellent, and they do feel very deep sea. Then you've got the image. I've puzzled over the image a fair bit. So on one hand, you've got something that could be a snake or iguana-like creature. You've got spines here that definitely look iguana. Here on the back, you've got it replicated in black and white, and you can see the spines, and you can see this almost scale-like texture there. Eyes that resemble no animal really that I can think of, and this strange bubble here that makes no sense. If you look at it more closely here, you've got this huge pouch-like thing that isn't reptilian and isn't really anything. It's as though someone who knows that snakes dislocate their jaws and avert their head to swallow prey, as though they know that happens, but they can't find in a herpetology book to figure out exactly how it happens. And you've got this strange thing here, a twisty thing that might be a tongue. At one stage I was even thinking maybe this is meant to be an octopus. This is the octopus body, this is the mantle extended. I don't know. I thought about it a lot. My general conclusion is that whoever did the artwork on this didn't really know what to do with deep sea. The colours overall are right. And then you've got this scuba diver, or I think they call them skin divers or lung divers here. And that's where the painting situation starts to get really super wonky. So you've got this yellow, which I guess you needed to stand out from the bluey green. And he then added splotches of yellow here and here that don't really integrate with the image in any way, but I guess it's to tie the yellow into the rest of the picture. You've got bubbles here instead of here, because typically when you breathe out, scuba comes from your head, not from your tanks. But I'm guessing that the guy who painted this did not understand that. The tanks themselves, it's easier to see in real life. They go at a different angle to the spine, which they're connected to, which is dodgy. You've got one leg that's in proportion to the arm, as if you had a model for all of this. But then he just threw in this skinny little detached leg that doesn't seem to marry up in any way, because he was trying to do underwater when I don't think he knew much about underwater. I think he was also trying to work too fast, because the yellow from this leg has run. And it's run in that way that gouache or watercolor will run when I'm painting if I'm too impatient to sit back and wait for what I've previously painted to dry. Anyhow, that's the cover. For all that I've just criticized the hell out of it, I really enjoyed this cover. It's suitable for the book, it's fun, it's adventure-y, and it's marine. You've won me over right there. So, 1954. a little bit of the story itself. So we start with Griff, who is Griffin, and it starts off as this fantastic Caribbean island Atlantic adventure in the style that was very popular in the 50s. In the 50s, you had a lot of fondness for these James Bond, island voodoo, diving Caribbean stories. They were very popular and they were very good. I read quite a few of them. I enjoyed them. And that's what the beginning of this starts off as. So we've got Griff, who's a very young man who's just finished school. I think by school they must mean university, not college. He's too mature to be a teenager. But anyway, having grown up with his aunt after following his mother's death, he's kind of reunited with his father for the first time. His father is a scientist, I'm going to call it as marine biologist. He travels all the way around the world, so Griff hasn't really spent much time with him. On this occasion, Griffith Sr. and his assistant Hughes are working on something a little bit mysterious from this island. It's got to do with this strange red tide that has been seen in the ocean. And he's refused to let Griff go back to America to join an academy, Air Force Academy I think it was. And so Griff's at this loose end, and he's a bit grumbly about that. He's waiting for his life to begin in earnest. And in the meantime, what can he do but hang out on this gorgeous Caribbean island, go scuba diving with the equipment provided by his father's research, take underwater cameras, and film the inhabitants of the reef. Now, these days, GoPros are a dime a dozen. Anyone can buy one, take it underneath and film a coral reef. But in the 50s, this was rare. And Griff is a little bit mopey goth about the whole thing, about he's being forced to do this and sail around on the ocean, on this sailboat that communicates between the islands, and get to know the local inhabitants. Poor thing. What a horrible life he's having. Early on there, Andre Norton describes the marine coral reef, and she does it so beautifully and so vividly. I can only imagine that she must have gone scuba diving, or at least snorkeling in some very beautiful spots. The awe of the underworld environment creeps through. Her description of sea fans and sea squirts and the schools of fishes that you see, and the colour and the vibrancy, the depth of the whole thing is amazing. I would have loved this book for that alone. Now here early on we've got these rumblings that there's peace talks that aren't going well, and there's a threat of nuclear warfare, but essentially it feels like the 50s or 60s on this little island. And it's very enjoyable, but for all of that, the first half of the book is like, well, this isn't really science fiction. This is a 50s adventure fiction. And I was there for it. I was absolutely enjoying it, but not what I was expected. Then in the second half, we suddenly have this major tidal wash that envelops the island, flattens the one village on it. And this comes shortly after a whole heap of American Seabees? I guess that's sailors or marines or something. I've never heard the phrase Seabee before, but it's being thrown around quite easily here. Anyhow, they arrive and they start really working on creating this base that no one on the island knows anything about. They warn off Griff's father when he's trying to do his sampling there. All very mysterious. Not too long after that, we've got this massive tidal wave that flattens the island, kills a lot of the villagers and displaces them. At the same time that we have this huge tidal experience, we have a volcano rising out of the ocean not too far offshore. Everything is going haywire. And it's described as going haywire very well, because we are in Griff's shoes. We know what's happening to him, but nothing else. Now, during the height of this event, we have this moment where Griff goes, did his eyes betray him, or did he really see what he thought he saw as the tidal wave was coming through? And what he thought he saw was a huge sea serpent being ridden by an enormous octopus. So yeah, I am there for that. I am there for the mutant sea serpents. I am there for the intelligent octopi, absolutely. Making war on the inhabitants of the land from the sea. Kraken Wakes by John Wyndham, next generation. I was loving it. Having reached safety in the governor's house, Griff finds out that radio has completely dropped. There's no communication with anywhere else on the planet. The last things they heard were concerning, as though nuclear warfare is descending upon the known world. But then, since everything's cut off, we don't know what happened. And from here on, it is apocalyptic. You've got the floods, and then you've got the octopi in the deeps, which prevent anyone from establishing any sort of sailing communication with other islands. There's no radio communication. The base is being thrashed, but the land is being thrashed worse. You've got these series of exciting mystery adventures. Eventually they find a way to take one of the Navy, CB, whatever, vessels out in search of refugees from another island, and in the course of it they discover a wrecked Russian nuclear sub and rescue the inhabitants. And there's more octopodids trying to get them, and it is a fantastic adventure story. Entirely not what I expected. So this is a 5 out of 5 star read for me. I did actually read it in 2025, though it's getting posted in 2026. There's a lot of small things. Okay, I loved what she did with the octopodids. I liked Griffith as a character, but the octopodids, I was there for them. I could have done with more. The cultural descriptions of the ethnic mixes on the islands was fascinating, and the patois associated with them was also fascinating. I found it believable and readable, likely and enjoyable. I don't know if it'd be entirely politically correct if someone wrote it today, but if it was published in 1957, I think we're good with it. So this is a standalone book, as so much of Andre Norton's work is, and I am there for a standalone as well. I get series fatigue quite easily. I prefer standalone books. I figure a good 50% of the series out there, they would have been better if they'd been made as standalones. I'm just not there for the series that much. There's exceptions, but they are rarer than they should be. Okay, so Griff going skin diving with a lung. It's scuba diving, I'm pretty sure not snorkeling. It's sometimes hard to tell, but he's going at night. And before everything goes haywire, he goes on this night dive all alone, because scuba precautions didn't exist back in 57 apparently. And he has these encounters with octopus that were very exciting to me at the time. What Norton was really doing was foreshadowing the future, in which the octopodids, octopus, octopi, whichever you prefer, there's no actual correct multiple of octopus, whichever one, I thought she was foreshadowing the fact that we have since discovered that not all octopus are solitary. Many do live in colonies, especially off New South Wales. You've got Octopolis and Octopus City. I got really excited by that. What she was really doing was foreshadowing the future, but it still worked. The diving again was really good. So, Oceanic SF, one of my favourites. The setting is called San Isidora. I don't know if that's a real island or not. I rather suspect not. And there were a few things that dated a little bit. Much as I love Andre Norton's writing, and I like many of her stories, her writing can be considered a little bit dry by some people. I'm not sure they're wrong. And it's dated in a strange sort of way. Not so much what she writes about, but the actual cadence narrative of her writing. Is it dry? Is it a little bit dated? I don't know. I found nothing dry about Sea Siege. I've seen a few people who've reviewed it more recently that weren't enamored by it, but I thought this was a marvelous mystery adventure. So, who is this for? Well, if you like Andre Norton, it is clearly for you. It's an unusual Andre Norton, but I really loved it. People who do not care for Andre Norton, however, those who don't like her fantasy of the witch world motif, who don't care that much for her science fiction, such as Beastmaster or Iron Cage, I reckon that those people may still really enjoy Sea Siege, because while it is fantastical, it's not sword and sorcery style fantasy, and it is very much unlike any other science fiction of hers that I've read. So especially if you aren't a huge science fiction convert, and I do know a few people who are less into the science fiction, more into the mystery and thriller or men's adventure, I reckon this might be the Andre Norton for them. It is quite definitely for anyone who likes a rollicking adventure with a lot of oceanic, boat, scuba, island stuff, octopus. Did I mention the octopus? I'm sure I did. Sea serpents, fish, all the marine joy is in this book. Now, who is it not for? Okay, so one thing that may annoy some people is that the first part and the second part feel completely different. The first is just your Caribbean adventure. The second part is apocalyptic. And those two different parts may not mesh with everyone. I know occasionally I'll read a book where the first part and the second part seems like they were written by completely different people or should be different books, and it can annoy me. Here it did not annoy me. Here I thought it was excellent. I liked the background. It made the actual apocalyptic stuff feel meaningful and real, and there are so many different plot threads here. There's the plot thread of the island, there's the plot thread of the witch doctor, there's the plot thread of the I keep wanting to say Marie Celeste. It wasn't. It's a sailing boat. All these different things that tie together. And unless you had that early grounding in the location, I don't think the second one would work as well. But some people aren't going to like that. If you don't like adventure stories, it is not for you. It is absolutely an adventure story. If you absolutely need female characters in your novel, Bechdel score or whatever, this book is not for you. There is one, maybe two females mentioned. They're not prominent. Our main character is Griff. It follows him and some of the people he knows in different adventures, but it is not female dominant. And a lot of people come to Andre Norton thinking female science fiction writer, there will be a lot of female characters. Typically she doesn't do that many female characters, and this is an absolute example of that. If you don't like the idea of radioactive mutated sea serpents and cephalopod intelligence, this isn't for you. Who wouldn't want intelligent cephalopods going to war with mankind? I don't know what's wrong with you. But if you don't like that, this book is not for you. It is absolutely for me. Thank you so much, Rob, for sending me this book. I'd never heard of it. I like Andre Norton. I have a lot of her work, but I've never seen this one before. I may certainly have never read it if you hadn't sent it to me. And it is such a good book. I enjoyed it so very much. So, thank you to Rob for sending it to me. Go to Lspace and say thank you, Rob, if you enjoyed this review. And subscribe while you're there. And have a great reading year and read good books. Bye.